And indeed, Sneaky wishing everyone a Gold Roger with a woolly morning. I actually quite like that. It might actually be a woolly morning. Hopefully, wool doesn't go the way of the woolly mammoth. I don't believe it will, at least not in the short term. But yes, and as long as it's a liquidity-filled woolly morning, I think
only up.
Overwhelmed. Oh, very nice aim. With the puns. I love it. All right. So today we're going to be doing things just a little differently. We're going to be skimming through the drops real quick. To be very frank with everyone, there isn't too much here that we think is phenomenal. And then we're going to do a bit of a market recap, a little bit of an extended market recap, if you will, talking through sort of the trends over the last week and how we think potentially, how potentially we think maybe the next week might shape up, potentially. So whatever we say, if you do the inverse, I reckon you'll be about right, given my track record. All right. So first of all, we're going to go into the drops here, going through the Metaverse HQ Drop Polls channel as usual. First of all, on the list for today, it is the Bull Tang Clan. And greetings to Poopaloop as well in the chat. And you're getting tired, might need to go sheep. No! Can't believe it. It was bad. Oh my goodness. You're all terrible. All right. We're going to try and work through today's drop poll list without too many more bad puns, starting off with the Bull Tang Clan. Oh my good.
Pun what?
The first drop on the list for today, and it's not wolves, it's not sheep, and it's not wool, but it's bulls, and it's the Bull Tang Clan, a series of 8,888 bulls at 0.06 Ethereum. Apparently these went an hour ago here, although not quite sure if that's necessarily right here. It could be a bit of a time zone issue. I'm just going to have a quick look on their site here to check, Mick, if I am able to mint. Nope, their mint hasn't started yet. So I reckon that might well be going in potentially 12 hours time. It might be, depending on what the time zones are here for the Bull Tang Clan. A series of bulls, to no great surprise, I'm sure. What do you reckon here of the art, Mick? Do you like the bulls? Do you like these bulls?
I mean, they're a fairly standard collection. I say that when I mean middle of the road. There's nothing that makes me think they're absolutely terrible. They're not great. I think that, depending on the socials, we'd probably have a better chance of assessing this one. The roadmap doesn't have too much in there. There's a vault where they're going to be storing money, royalties, etc. In their roadmap. There's breeding mechanics for baby bulls that look like a scaled down version of the adult bulls, as opposed to actually a baby bull. Merch store, Decentraland presence, some mini games, which are play to earn in the metaverse. Doesn't really cover what they're going to be. A physical NFT, so they speak of some form of collectible asset. Not too much more detail there either. And then a landing page. Strange that, that would be the last thing on their roadmap.
That's on their roadmap?
Yeah, that's the last thing. So a landing page to generate revenue by selling BTC merch. So I think what they mean is providing people a page to sell things based on their PFP if they want to generate products based on the asset. Don't quite know what that means either. It's the bit that probably sounds the most interesting, digging into the detail there. Honestly, though, I have a feeling, my suspicion is a lot of the roadmap is just buzzwords. I'm interested to know whether the socials back this up.
You got it. And look, I'll be very honest with you. The socials do not back this up at this point in time. I've been poking around their Twitter here, Mick, and it does seem as though the Bull Tang Clan have decided to delay their mint to early December, apparently giving them a little more time to, I would hope here, work on their marketing, because to be very honest with you, Mick, if they had gone today, I'm not sure they would have made it. 4,175 members in their Discord here for the Tang clan. And at time of assessment here, Mick, we saw 7% of their user base online, and that's 285 people out of 4K. So if you were trying to sell an 8K collection today with 285 people active in your Discord, I think, you'd have a fair ways to go, right? So I think that the Tang clan reasonably, they've announced their delay, and I think that's the right choice, right? A little more time in the oven for the Bulls here might result in a more favorable outcome. So I look forward to reassessing them when we see them again. No doubt sometime early December. So that's
might be worth sending a note to Beanie to introduce some tokenomics, you think?
Yes, well, potentially, or perhaps I'm sure there's a couple of good DeFi consultants out there on crypto Twitter who'll be able to step in to help them out. Now, that then means that the Tang clan, unfortunately, is a delay. We're not going to be seeing them for at least another week and a half at this point, until early December. Good grief. Did I just say early December's in a week and a half? Where's the year gone, Mick?
When you eventually find out, let me know. Honestly.
My goodness. I'll tell you where it's gone. It's gone into staking, farming, pool 2, Arbitrum staking.
It's gone into to turning 50% of the population into straight degen.
I love it. I do love it. I have to say, Mick, I don't know about you, but I genuinely feel, I've been in the NFT. I've been deep in the NFT space for about 6 months now, and I have to say it's been the most compelling 6 months of the last 5 years of my life. What do you reckon?
It does provide an interesting arena to operate in, that's for sure. When compared to traditional work, there's a lot going on, and rather than, but I think the thing that's most interesting to me, a lot of environments you can get involved in, it can be just, there's a lot of information to absorb, there's a lot to get a hold of, but there's no motivation to do it because it's all it seems like a lot of work for not much benefit. Whereas this space, there's a lot to absorb and there's more and more every day, but it's all understandable with a reasonable amount of effort, and the potential benefit's quite good. So the motivation's always high. You always have this energy to try to just do things and learn, and I've never had that before in any space.
No way, right? Like, I'll tell you, and I tell everyone, right? So, I used to build businesses a long time ago, right? Showing my age here, but, sort of 10 years ago, right? I used to, build startups and what have you. And I tell everyone in my network, and I've told everyone in my network over the past 6 months, I'm like, the energy in this space right now, right? And the people hustling and the talents that this space brings together anonymously from across the globe in a collaborative manner is just bonkers. Right, like I haven't seen anything like it in a long time. I feel like, and in some ways, I'm sure some people in Metaverse HQ feel like it as well. I feel like we live together in a startup house almost. I don't know if anyone out here knows what a startup house is like, but it's just like a pressure cooker of just ideas. And you've just got concepts and just new cool shit. Right? That's just coming out every day, and it kind of feels that way, and I love it. I love the energy of the space. Anyway, what a diversion. Anyway, back to the drop poll, Mick. Good grief. Moving on to the next item then on drop poll, it's the Chicken Suspects, a series of 4,419 chickens at 0.05 Ethereum each, going in 5 hours. Time here now, Mick. I just have to say very quickly, based on the socials, unfortunately, I think it's quite disappointing for the Chicken Suspects here. And I am just having a quick look on their Twitter, looking for a sign of a delay, because I'll be honest with you, Mick. When assessed earlier today, the Chicken Suspects had 1,666 members in the Discord. And would you get this, Mick? Guess how many % of their Discord population was online?
How many?
2%.
Oh gosh, and for that many.
And that's 30 people, Mick, were
I just
online.
scrolled down to a point in the website where it said a crime has been committed. And I do believe they're correct.
I agree. Well, I'll say it's a crime, all right, because to be honest with you, those social figures are absolutely criminal here. How you can think you're going to sell 4,419 mints, Mick, when you have 30 people online in your Discord, 8 hours before launch? I'm not sure. And look, I do wish the chicken suspects all the best, but at this point in time, just indicatively based on their Discord numbers, I don't necessarily think they're going to make it here. Looking at the Twitter, they do fare a little better, 2,650 followers. Unfortunately, on a tweet-by-tweet basis here, the chickens do only see, I would say, single to very, very low double-digit engagement on a tweet-by-tweet basis. No sort of, typically we see with some of these collections, Mick, we might see influencer giveaways or shiller giveaways, and we're not seeing any of that. It is nice to see that I believe the chickens are integrating Chainlink here. At least they've got a note here in their tweet. They've got a tweet here about integrating Chainlink VRF, which is nice, but I'm not really sure that any of that's going to matter, given that at this point in time, I believe if they go live here, Mick, they're not going to do all too well. Is there any saving graces at all there in the art or the roadmap? What do you reckon?
Well, I do remember, I do know why these aren't delaying, because they already have been delayed. We have spoken about these before many years ago.
No.
Yes, like a long time ago, actually. So long I can't even remember which week it was. But looking through the game that they're proposing, I distinctly remember the hilarity of reviewing this the first time. They're basically... They're going to have 5 chicken suspects interrogated, and there's going to be a witness who has to pick which of them committed a crime. And if they get it, they'll get a bounty.
Right.
And the more suspects you collect, the more chances you have to cash in.
Right.
So there's that one.
I remember.
Goodness knows how it's going to work. But
that was a month and a half ago. Easily.
It feels like that long, easy.
That easy month and a half ago. So these guys have been percolating for a month and a half. And they have 1,600 people in their Discord. I'm sorry for the chicken suspects, but I think these are hard, a very, very, very hard pass. I'm not sure that we're, I'm sure we'll loop around to them tomorrow, won't we?
I have no doubt, unfortunately.
Yes, very unfortunate here for the chicken suspects. Essentially getting the double pass recommendation here, going in 5 hours time, 4,419 chickens. Taking us into the next drop. Ooh, these are quite cute, Mick. Look at My Raccoon. A series of 10K raccoons at 0.06 Ethereum each, going in 7 hours' time. Mick, have you gotten over your raccoon PTSD? Because despite whether they're called trash pandas, raccoons, or whatever have you, I just can't get over. And you know what? The raccoons, the NFT raccoons have to blame the, what was it? Raccoon Secret Society? Whichever it was that transformed the raccoons into sacks of bones, that I've just never forgotten it. It's just been seared into my memory. Do you like these raccoons, Mick? Do you think these will do different?
No, I don't know. I think as a collection, they're okay. You see all the typical, fast food costumes and other assets that are typical to these animal PFP sets. The art's fine. I think they could have done a lot worse to create a cute raccoon collection, so it's fine. They do talk about a dumpster dive. So raccoons are known to be quite thieves and dumpster divers. All right. The dumpster is full of unique assets never used in the core generation of 10,000 raccoons. Oh, I see. So you can re-roll. That's what this is. So You've got the option to go dumpster diving for a re-roll on your assets.
Okay. I mean, look, that's not too bad. That's pretty interesting. It's also worth noting here, Mick, that the raccoons actually already have an active pre-sale and an active floor on OpenSea. Very quickly, 1,046 minted onto presale so far. These look like they've revealed already, so it looks like it's an instant reveal here, Mick, not a delay reveal. And the floor on OpenSea holding at 0.06 Ethereum with 0.46 ETH volume traded. So very, very low demand, I would say, for these raccoons. But they are essentially holding at mint, for better or worse. On to the socials for the raccoons. They've got 9,857 members in the Discord with, a fairly respectable here, 10% population online, 963 users at time of assessment, and 4,188 followers on Twitter. Additionally, the raccoons are followed by the Galactic Apes NFT account and, surprisingly, Punk2476 or Archie, who may or may not have left Twitter entirely.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace indeed. If we don't, see Punk2476 come back in a couple of weeks, which also could happen, right?
That'll be 2 months of peace.
Well, don't count your chickens before they hatch, Mick. You never know. But we're not talking about chickens. We're talking about raccoons. And on to the socials here. It looks like the raccoons do have, they've done a couple of giveaways here that have done reasonably well. A couple hundred retweets and likes, which is okay on a tweet-by-tweet basis for organic tweets. The raccoons do clock in at about single-digit retweets and, in the 10s to 20s for likes. So fair to middle in here. I do have to say, Mick, I actually really like these raccoons. I personally think they're very, very cute. However, that said, I know you mentioned a reroll mechanic, which is cool, and they've got a presale which is holding at mint, which is fair to middle in, I suppose. Unfortunately, just with those social numbers here, I'm just not confident, Mick, that these raccoons are actually going to get all the way on a 10K collection. As a matter of fact, I'd argue, Mick, that really nobody should be thinking about selling out a 10K collection, at this particular point in time, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's been a bit of traction on the cute PFPs recently, and some people might be doing some speculative buys that, an influencer apes into this as we have in years past, and this flies.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be buying straight off the bat for sure. I'd be monitoring it best. And I don't think the reroll really benefits collections. I think people tend to not like it because it devalues the rares. It gives more chance for the collection as a whole to have more rare attributes.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless they do kind of like the nifty degens and there is a rarity pool of attributes and all you can do is roll for the attributes that are left.
Right, I hear you. And that makes sense, right? If they did it that way, that makes sense. And I know what you're talking about. We saw those 3D kitties, I believe it was, have a similar reroll mechanic, right? And I can't remember what the name of the collection is now, but these cute 3D kitties where you could reroll them for a chance at a rare. And I think there were concerns there that would devalue rares in the long run. So you're right. If the Look at My Raccoon series does have a similar reroll mechanic where you are able to reroll your commons for rares, then if you did mint any of these and you did pull a rare, you'd probably be wanting to sell it while there's still a premium. That said, I'm not confident here, Mick, that these are even going to get all the way, to be very honest with you. I reckon they get halfway at best, or maybe, unless we see some sort of, as you mentioned, speculative buys waiting for an influencer pump, right, which may or may not happen. But without that, I'm just not sure that they clear the 10K at 0.06 Ethereum each to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pass from me. But if I hear them pop up on the tools, at least we know what they are and maybe, consider buying a few if they're flying.
Maybe, although I would have liked to see them a fair bit cheaper to cater to the potential for a momentum swing. And I think for that reason here, and I've stated it already, I don't think they're going to get all the way. So look at My Raccoon here, getting the double pass recommendation. 10,000 raccoons in 7 hours time. I would say they've got, fair to middle in socials at best here and nothing too compelling on the roadmap, although they are cute. But cute doesn't cut it anymore. Cute did cut it 3 months ago. 2 months ago? 2 months ago. You could get by with cute. But not today, I don't think. So that was Look at My Raccoon, a series of 10,000 raccoons. Again, double pass recommendation taking us into the next drop for today. The Monkey Heist Club, a series of 5,555 monkeys at 0.049 Ethereum each, going in 13 hours' time. I like the collection size, Mick, and I actually like the price too. And to be frank here, Mick, the socials are actually not too shabby either. You know, right off the bat here, Mick, I'll call it 21K in the Discord. 8% population online, so that was 1,700 people online in Discord when assessed a couple hours ago, and 16,000 followers on the Twitter for the Monkey Heist Club. Having a quick look here. No notable mutual followers, unfortunately. And on a per tweet basis, the Monkey Heist Club do see about double digits, I'd say, sort of between 30 to 50 retweets in general, sometimes ticking into the hundreds and into the hundreds of likes as well. Looks like they've run giveaways quite aggressively here over the past couple of weeks. And it looks like they've been running their marketing, Mick, since, oh wow, they've been marketing for a while now. They've been doing giveaways, Mick, since, what is this? Looks like October the 3rd. So they've been going for a while. Oh wow. Thanks, ZZZ. I had no idea that was selling. That's where that. Anyway, sorry about that. Minor diversion into Dropcast chat. I just don't know here, Mick. Like, the socials for this particular project are actually fair to middling. They're not too shabby. What do you think of the art and the roadmap, though? Do you think there's something here?
I don't on the roadmap or the art. I mean, the art, it's kind of unique. It's got a different sort of look to a lot of the ape collections that we see. They're full-body apes. They're swinging from something, but I don't particularly like it. It's just not that attractive. We definitely wouldn't want to use it as a PFP, and I don't know who would. The roadmap also doesn't have too much there. It's all the standard stuff that you've come to expect. The only real standout is talk of a game, but then there's no details on what that game is either. So I think I'm straight out on this collection, even with the socials as they are. At best, it's a monitor. But for me personally, I'm fine to let this one go. There's just not enough there. The roadmap does talk about a split, like a percentage split of revenue between merch and game profits and royalty fees, feeding it back in. It just all feels very shallow. It doesn't seem to be a lot here.
Yeah, I hear you. And, you know, it's a bit of a shame, right? Because, you know, the ape collections typically have had an easier time of it, right? You would think that the market would eventually get desensitized to it, but nope, you know, apes are always a stronger contender, right? Typically, you know, a little bit more on the roadmap here, Mick, and we may have actually seen this collection have a shot at performing, especially when you consider the fact that it's collection size of 5,000, you know, price of 0.049, reasonably decent socials. Just a little more here, I think, on the roadmap would have actually seen this go. Unfortunately, you know, I share your sentiments with the lack of substance in the roadmap, and you know, while the art is it's a matter of personal preference, I too am not seeing these. They don't seem very PFP-able, right? And so I think for that reason here, I'm not sure that these are a straight pass, Mick. Do you think these are a loose monitor?
Yeah, at best. Just for me, though, I don't have any interest. If they do fly, if they do well, I'm happy to call it an L.
Fair enough. And look, in all fairness, Mick, given that these are going in 13 hours, I'm not staying up for these either. Well, we'll be awake at that time, actually, come to think of it. But, you know, I'm not going to be paying these any special attention either. But I reckon if you're around in 13 hours' time, maybe a very loose monitor at best, you know, see if they pop up on the tools at all. If they don't pop up on the tools, I wouldn't bother either. So that was the Monkey Heist Club getting a loose monitor at best recommendation, taking us into the Legion of Witches, series of 10,000 witch avatars, although they're not evil-looking witches here. I would say they're rather friendly-looking witches, Mick. at 0.03 Ethereum each over a 10K collection, going in 16 hours. This is interesting, actually. We're seeing a couple of these drops here, Mick, going quite effectively in our time zone. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I just wish they were the good ones. No, I'm joking.
Yes, tell us how you truly feel, Mick.
No, look, this collection. When I first went to the website, I was like, "These look great. I love the art." Unfortunately, this is a prime example of when you see a stark difference between the quality of the background image on the website, which they probably had commissioned, and the quality of the PFPs themselves. Yes, the themes are the same and they look like the same characters, but the PFPs, maybe it's the layering, maybe it's the way they had to do them. They do not look as highly characterized. They don't have the same style. They don't have the same energy. Is the word I want to use. Like, yeah. I like the website characters. Yep. I don't like the PFPs. The roadmap itself also doesn't have too much in it. There's a merch store. There's raffles. There's a fund for collaboration with other communities. Yep. And then there's, at the end, a 10,000 collection of mutant witches, which you mint with magic potions that you're airdropped from every witch that you own. And that's it. So it does feel like a very aged roadmap as well.
Interesting. Well, look, I think that the airdrop of the potions isn't necessarily a terrible thing. Look, we've seen a couple of projects do it recently, and it's sort of the flavor of the month, right? Utility tokens. It's quite humorous here. I'm looking at their FAQs, and one of their FAQ questions is, why don't the witches create a utility token that will generate passive income and breeding?
Yeah, I like it.
I do.
With the token spell with a dollar sign. I like that.
I do. And it does show, Mick, that the creators of this collection do have an awareness of the state of the market, right? They're not non-NFT people, I'd say. But I share your sentiment as well that it does seem as though the hero image on the website does have a fair bit more dynamism than the NFTs themselves, which is incredibly unfortunate. Like, if you'd just given me a crop, honestly, of that lead, your lead hero image here, and turn that into an NFT, like, that'd be awesome, right? Like that.
It would be.
It'd be badass. I'd dig that. I mean, probably very challenging, if not impossible, to run a generative collection on, but still badass. Very cool. So then on to the socials then for the Legion of Witches. Unfortunately here, this is where it actually really, I think, all falls apart for them. Very unfortunately, Mick. 3,404 members in the Discord, 7% online, which is 245 people online in the Legion of Witches Discord a couple hours ago. Twitter is a bit stronger, though. 11,000 followers on Twitter. Unfortunately here, no notable followers with the exception of good old Ramin Nazibov, who, as we've established, follows just about everybody out there. And on a tweet-by-tweet basis, the Legion of Witches do really only get sort of in double digits from a retweet and like perspective. They have done some influencer one-of-ones here, Mick, and I think they have seen some engagement from a couple of crypto influencers, perhaps, although I'm not sure if these are, necessarily influencers versus shillers. There's a bit of a distinction. But still, good on them. It looks as though they've been trying. They've been trying here, Mick. But with those Discord numbers, I just don't think they're going to make it. And so from a socials perspective anyway, it's indicating Legion of Witches, especially at 10K, if they don't halve their collection size or bring that sort of down, it's, I don't think they're going to make it today. And so that's a pass, a very, very hard pass for me if they're going today. Which, by the way, Mick, it does seem as though we've been debated. And it does seem as though they might be delaying their launch. Let me just get
Classic
confirmation. Classic. After we talk about it for, 10 minutes, right? Let me just have a look here. Yes, I can confirm the Legion of Witches indeed have delayed their launch, and they are only going live now on the 12th of December, 2021. Do you think, Mick, it's actually a wise idea for these collections to delay their launch to the middle of when we expect Ethereum to be pumping?
Maybe they're just buying themselves some time to make a decision either way. They can always bring forward the date again if they need to, or push it out further. I don't. I think at this point with that collection, you either go or you don't go.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just rip the Band-Aid off, stop minting, focus on marketing, and once Mint's open. So, and a collection that did that quite well recently is Cool Dogs. I didn't mint them because I don't like minting what look like copies of other collections. It's just they go worse more than they go better. But that one's coming good fast because they seem to be kicking some goals in the secondary marketing campaign that they've got going on.
Cool Dogs, or are you talking about the Dirty Dogs? The Dirty Dogs.
Cool Dogs.
There was an. Are these? Let me guess. Are they a Cool Cats clone as well?
More than you would know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi's repping one as a PFP. They've been flying on the secondary and doing quite well. So we'll see where they end. But from a collection that was just not selling, just basically dead in the water, obvious copy of Cool Cats, the traits, the design, the line work, everything, just exactly the same. There's a lot of people sharing them now.
Gotcha. Okay, I think I've found the collect. Wait, no, I don't think this is. Is this a collection? It's a small OpenSea one, Mick?
No, I will link it for you.
Yes, please. I would like to, but in the meantime, for anyone here who was right, if there was still any doubt remaining, the Legion of Witches here. Well, look, they've delayed to the 12th of December, which is, I think good for them, and they've made the probably, assuming ETH isn't in the middle of its run to some astronomical height at that point in time. I think they have made the right decision, and we will see whether the Legion of Witches have what it takes when we come back around to them the next time we see them. So then, in that case, that actually takes us, right, if you were following, to the end of the drop poll list here in the Metaverse HQ drop polls channel. Right, and the drops we had today were the Tang clan, which were a delay. Right, they've delayed to November 21st, I believe it is. Sorry, they've delayed their drop. Right, I gotta fact check myself now. Mick, I've gone and forgotten exactly what it is with the Tang clan that they've done. Right, sorry about that. So the Tang clan have delayed their mint to early December, and so they're obviously a pass. We'll circle back to them next time round. The chicken suspects here were a hard pass due to only having 30 people in their Discord online to try to sell a 4K collection at 0.05 Ethereum each is hard pass. Look at My Raccoon, unfortunately, here also getting the double pass recommendation here due to effectively, despite cute art, unfortunately an unsubstantial roadmap and a very, very high collection size, we feel, for the roadmap and for the socials. Despite having 9K in the Discord, sort of 10K in the Discord, it's just not quite there. We would have liked to see perhaps a halving in the collection size for the raccoons. The Monkey Heist Club here getting a very, very loose monitor at best here. Again, only if you're sort of watching because of the low collection size, 5K at 0.05 Ethereum each, essentially, with 20K in the Discord. But unfortunately, non-PFPable art and essentially nothing on the roadmap, which is a bit disappointing there because Monkey Heist Club could have had a shot at being the blockbuster drop of the day. And Legion of Witches getting a pass, a delay, not going on public until the 12th, or is this the 13th here of December. So that was those were the drops for the day, and I'm just having a look here at these Cool Dogs, Mick. Oh man, 0.16 floor price. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, they've done well. They've really, really pulled it back.
They really have. Well, what about the Dirty Dogs then? Because I recall the Dirty Dogs were very, very similar collection. Okay, the Dirty Dogs have done vastly worse. Clocking in here at 0.025. significantly down from the 0.16.
But these would have gone the same way. They were not minting out. They were like very, very slowly minting.
Yeah.
I looked at them well before, like a week or two ago, and just passed them. When they look like cool cats.
Yeah.
They've done a decent good job of replicating them. Very samey. What I saw in secondary didn't look great, so I thought, nah, I'm not going to mint. And then I started seeing more and more people just sharing them on Twitter here and there, and I went, well, they seem to be getting a little bit of traction. And then the last couple of days have just gone boom.
Wow. What do you know? You know what I almost feel like we need, Mick? I feel like we need like better Twitter monitoring tools or something, right? To track like the mentions of projects. Like I'd love to get a little bit of data around, whether or not that has, and I'm absolutely certain it does, right? How a project tracks on Twitter, absolutely, I think, has a bearing on its velocity of mint, likely, and or velocity of secondary.
Yeah, right? I don't know that it would be overly hard. All you'd need to do, because each of the project Twitters would have a hashtag, like or a Twitter and it's just tracking per day how many times that's being tweeted out.
Yeah, I think so. Man, I'll tell you what, Mick, if I had more time on my hands, I'd build something. If anyone out there knows any like easy to use tools or something like that we can just spin up a quick dashboard on, let us know. And I'd be I'm always interested in getting more data points, right? To work into the Dropcast. I think it'd be super awesome, right? Like imagine if we could, so we can do our assessment on socials, right? But then you could also, we could then also do our assessment of projects based on, rate of tracking perhaps on Twitter, and, whether or not they've had notable mentions by, say we can maybe build a list of, influencers, right? Essentially grab your influencers and track, how many mentions they've had respectively. I reckon there's something to that, right? That we could potentially do.
Yeah, I don't disagree. If anyone does know how to handle that, it'd be very cool to set something up.
Oh, straight up. Anyway, so that was the end of the drops for today, and now we're doing something a little different, and now we're going to be going into a bit of a market recap conversation. It's going to be a little longer format than usual. So yeah, well, let's get right into it, Mick. So I suppose first of all, we'll start off with the blue chips here. And really, Mick, what we're seeing today is we're essentially seeing retracement across the board, right? I'm looking at the blue chip tracker, and over the last 24 hours, Mick, it's just straight up red, right? It's red across the board. Your meta heroes here are hurting the most here, down 13% in the last 24 hours. Punk's Comics trailing pretty close behind at 9%. The Pudgy Penguins as well, unfortunately, a bit of pain here, down 10%. And the Cool Cats down 9%. Oni Force as well, down 7%. What do you reckon here, Mick? Do you think we're seeing these retracements as a result of Ethereum recovering? Because it bottomed out, right, at or around that 4K mark, and it's sort of bounced back up now, back now at 4.3 after that big, nice correction that gave us a little bit of breathing room. What do you reckon? Do you think it's that? Do you think it's, the Coinbase shine wearing off? What do you reckon?
I think it's probably the pump wearing off. You had the Coinbase pricing in at the same time as you had the celebrity blue chip buys. At the same time as you probably had some money coming in around the DeFi plays. At the same time that you had the ETH changing its trajectory. So I think it was like a perfect storm that did see massive pump of volume and money into the safe coins of NFTs. And that can only go on for so long because people are only going to buy a floor at a certain height. Otherwise, punks would all be 1,000 ETH right now. It always hits a peak, and then naturally you're going to have a cool because everyone that was holding, wanting to take profits and wanting to pick the top that didn't, then realizes they haven't picked the top, and they chase the knife down to a certain point where it hits its support. It's this is natural market movement, and now we just have to see how far that retracement happens before a lot of us that didn't buy will be the support.
Yeah, I hear you, and I'll be keeping an eye on some of these projects myself as well. And no doubt, I'm sure some of our listeners out there newly minted and flush with wool bags. Some of our newly made sheep shearing millionaires out there are no doubt having a look at the blue chips as they retrace as well. Now, it's probably important to say that from a 7-day, sort of zooming out a little bit from a 7-day perspective, most of these projects are still up in the green, which is nice. I think a special mention needs to go really for the pudgy penguins here, who are still holding up 45% on the 7-day window, Mick. How about that?
That is a very good metric.
That is very, very nice. Very juicy metric indeed. If you'd bought a pudgy penguin 7 days ago, nice little 45%. Not as exciting, of course, if you'd bought a sheep 2 days ago when it was on the floor at 0.04. But hey, hey, you know what? You can't pick them all. So look, I think you're right here, Mick. And what do you reckon? Let's theory craft just a little bit here. We're not traders, we're not technical analysts, but we're seeing ETH sort of, it's sort of topped out here at 4.4, right? We're seeing a little bit of retracement now in the charts. Let's assume here, Mick. Let's assume that the easiest assumption, which is that let's assume it continues going sideways for the next week. All right, let's just assume. Let's assume ETH continues going sideways for the next 7 days. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on what we see here in terms of market movement? Do you think we see do you think we see the entire market effectively continue moving sideways in tandem as people sort of keep waiting for Coinbase NFT?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're back, right? Like I said the other day, once we started to get influencers commenting again, and when Beanie, funnily enough, I should have thought about it with Wolves, but the day before Wolves or the day before that, he tweeted, "We're back." And I think I said in chat, when Beanie says we're back, I finally say we're back, because I said I'd be the last, and I'm pretty sure he was going to be the second last. So we're back. And we are seeing that with collections just selling out left, right, and center at the moment, self drops selling out and pumping. It does feel like, I don't think we're back to peak, where no matter what you minted, like what we covered in the drops earlier, most of them still aren't selling out.
They're not selling out.
No. And so we aren't at peak, but we are back enough that you hang around during the day, you pick your drops and you do quite well.
Exactly.
You pick some drops and you do extraordinarily well. So that's enough to say that the market has recovered. Now, how long we keep that trajectory for, how back we are, I guess the positive is I think we've still got a lot of room to even perform better than we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Things have got a lot of room to go even harder than they are right now. Volume, though, I think is going to be an issue, because I think a lot of people aren't going to want to tie up most of their liquid, because we do have, as you say, a bit of a retracement in ETH. I think, we assume it goes sideways. People get more confident, but the closer we get to December, and once we're in December, I think everyone just naturally gets a lot more cautious.
I think so. However, there's a little bit of a very slight potential, a slight bit of a bullish sentiment into December, and I'm not too familiar with this, but apparently, there is a case to be made for people to be buying some blue chips, right, into the December period for tax reasons. I believe it is for the Americans anyway, not for us Australians, because we run a June, July tax year. But there may be something to that, right? Potentially, we see a little bit of uplift in the blue chips leading into December, potentially, if we haven't seen that already, and I'm not sure that we haven't.
Well, I think it's actually, my understanding, it might be wrong, but I thought there would be more of a sell-off to tax harvest losses, with a rebuy straight back in January as the clock ticks over. So that way they can tax harvest the loss for this year, avoid paying the tax from the loss, and then buy back in, assuming it recovers quickly after.
Interesting.
Kicking the can down the road.
I'll be interested to see that one. Really,
I'd love to have enough money for that effort to be worth it for me. But I do think there's plenty of people where that's going to be a legitimate use case for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. And Sneaky, of course, yes, also realizing a very, very significant 100 ETH loss, I think it was, or 90 ETH loss, I believe it was, for his Kong, for his Genesis Kong.
I do love it where people are linking other people's sales to them in chat. And that's the first. It's kind of like finding out that something happened to a family member in the newspaper.
Exactly. Well. You know what? Yeah. One of my chibis sold, which is crazy, man. Like, who's buying these? Do they not realize that the drop never happened? Like, they haven't sold out on Mint.
Time to go spend that money on more.
They haven't minted. They haven't finished minting. Why are you buying on secondary? I don't even know. Anyway, it does seem as though, the winds are a-changing, right? I'm a little more optimistic, so I've been saying it for a couple of days, although with some hesitancy. But I do think that the winds are changing. Unfortunately, though, they're still not changing for the new projects. And Mick, you are very right? We're seeing more competent, better put together projects now, and these projects are performing. Right, the legend maps, for example, that we talked about, at a mint price of 0.042, they really started picking up a bit of momentum after Dom bought in, right? Which was right, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about how they weren't going to sell out and their socials were low, and they didn't sell out until Dom bought in, and we sort of saw that momentum begin to swing, right? And we talked about how it was, OG bait. And it really was, right? And then Pranksy bought in and so on and so forth. And of course, now it's holding a floor of 0.147, which is very, very nice for anyone who managed to grab a few.
And a good example where it really pays to understand the mints and the projects, even at a high level, stay on top of them, know what's coming, know what's gone, know what's minted, know what hasn't, even just scraping the surface of as many as you can. Because that moment when you do hear them trending, there might only be 1,000 left. The difference between knowing whether you want to just take a punt and mint 3 or go for 20 or 50, whatever it is you feel comfortable with, that time is crucial in these times when the real volume can happen in the last 10%, 20% of a collection.
Exactly. It makes the difference, right? To be honest with you, it was like that with me and the sheep, right? Like I got, mint number like 9,400 and something, like I had a transaction just pending, and I was like, should I really punt or not? You're right, Mick. It is often those snap decisions that can tend to pay off. Interestingly enough, Mick, Impact Theory's Merry Mods still hasn't finished minting. Would you believe it? 10K series. They're almost there, mind you. 9,126 at 0.079 on a, what is this, 0.07 mint. I mean, they're almost there, but they haven't finished minting. It's bonkers. Yeah,
it's a very hard one, I think, for influencers to get behind while we're still so far away from Christmas. I think there's definitely going to be a period where they can perform well. I just don't know who's going to be the catalyst for it, who isn't already involved. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's the Impact Guy's Theory's name again?
Tom Bilyeu.
Yeah, so Bilyeu's already there. Everyone knows he's there. It's not like he's going to buy 10 and people are like, Tom's buying. It's like, well, of course he is.
Well,
it's got to come from somewhere else.
I mean, I reckon, so Sneaky's in the chat here talking about how it might make sense that, Tom gets on the horn to old mate Gary and goes, hey, Gaza, you're right there, mate.
Bring us some of that wolf money, Gaza.
Yeah, give us a couple of tweets, mate. and Gary goes, oh, all right, GM Merry Mods. And there you go. You're good for at least a 2x on your initial investment, right? Maybe, we could see that. Look, I'll be honest with you though, Mick. I'm just looking at those Merry Mods just trickle into a finish. We sort of saw that with those Impact Theory passes as well. They weren't flying, but when they did finally finish, they were a reasonable flip. So now I'm not saying that these are going to be the same. As a matter of fact, I don't necessarily think that they will be. But Christmas season, you never know, right? Some of the other drops over the last 24 hours have, well, actually, I'm just having a look here, and basically every drop over the last 24 hours, with the exception of Ninja Squad, basically didn't sell out here, Mick. I suppose it's no huge surprise, when I quickly skimmed them. There really wasn't anything particularly compelling. What?
Yes, Scholars surprised me, really, because I'd seen in a bunch of Discords, OG Discords, support for that, and they had the Kongs backing.
Really?
Yeah, and, they had a decent secondary, at least initially.
Yeah.
But it just died, straight died. Don't know if something happened with the mint. Don't know if there was some FUD, but that one I didn't buy. I was just watching it, but I was surprised it didn't even sell out.
Gotcha.
It have now, but it hadn't when I looked.
No, it still has not. 887 minted out of 2,500. I think here, Mick, it may have just needed a little more room to breathe with the Ninja Squad. You know what I mean? Like with Ninja Squad going on the same day, I reckon you can, maybe we can still only, maybe the market conditions are such that we can only support one Kong's Let drop a day. Maybe, right? For now, maybe. Who knows? And besides, you also have to remember Wolf Game did take up a fair bit of consumer mindshare as well. Anyway, so we're not seeing, incredible performance across some of these drops, but it is important to note that the competent drops by and large are performing. Right? I think that Scholars struggled a little here, Mick, because they were trying to move 2,500 mints at 0.5 Ethereum each.
I mean, the Dutch auction wasn't hard to get in on. You had to answer one easy quiz and you could mint at 0.125. But even that was too much with gas.
Gotcha. Sneaky saying it was a weird looking mint and they had a Dutch auction running for 2 hours. I do agree. In the current market climate yet, we're just not there yet. We are back, yes, but we're not like crazy back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Dutch auction, though, it was a bit of a misnomer, but based on how easy the quiz was, the Dutch auction was irrelevant. You could have minted at 0.125 anytime you wanted.
I see. Gotcha. And ZZZ flagging at Ninja Squad was, yes, absolutely. So the reason why Ninja Squad did well, right, in my opinion, twofold, right? First of all, the founder was a fairly well-known, it seems, Turkish influencer of some sort, with literally 500,000 followers on Twitter, right? And the other co-founder was BCC. And thanks for the insight there, Sneaky. BCC essentially is the Kong, I believe, that manages the entire Wall Street Kong's, project whitelisting and listing process, I suppose it is. I'm not too sure what the actual terms there are, but essentially BCC seems to be the supervisor of that entire process. So when you talk about, reputation within the Kongs, I would assume that holding that station, BCC would be up there, next to the Cocos, right, of Kongs. So, yeah, there's that to be considered for the Ninja Squad. So what do you think, Mick? You think we see this continue? I'll be honest with you. I'm perfectly fine to keep calling drops, passes and misses, as long as they don't deliver on the fundamentals, right? If they don't deliver a strong roadmap and they don't deliver strong socials in combination with each other, I don't think we're going to see a change in the market behavior over the next week, right? I don't necessarily think we're going to see more people aping into, blind nothingness. Except for the babies.
I think we're probably going to stay as we are. Strong projects doing well.
Yep.
Average projects, new projects that people don't know, probably just going stagnant, and then having a chance to recover on the secondary.
Yeah.
If they handle the right marketing. But this space that we're in right now doesn't feel. It feels a lot better. It feels like there's opportunity floating around, rather than needing a vast amount of capital to be able to make more.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's a good thing, right? That's good for new starters, because there was a really brutal window not, 3 to 4 weeks ago, right, where if you were a new starter and you walked into NFTs, you would have got basically, if you watch those cartoons where somebody walks into a revolving door and it gets spun around and, thrown back out onto the street, and their luggage hits them on the head with a bonk, I think that would have basically been it. Right, for any new person into NFTs, I think probably about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, right? If you had minted anything, it would have just gone sideways and down. Now, and this is actually interesting, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit, Mick. They may go down, but they tend to come back up, right? And that was something that I wanted to talk with you about as well, Mick, which is that collections, we're seeing a trend of collections selling out, but there's aggressive bricking going on before we see a grind into recovery, right? We saw it with Brain Vomit, and we've seen it with Wolf Game, and I cannot believe how low Wolf Game got. Right? You have to imagine my absolute shock, Mick, when I minted my, 5 sheep for, 0.12 per, right? Because I had to juice the gas a little. And I can't remember what I was doing. I stepped away for a while and I went back and I went, oh yeah, let me see how these sheep are going. And I look at the floor on OpenSea, Mick, and the floor is 0.04. And I'm just staring at it and I'm like, what? So but I knew that it was a novel concept. I knew it was new, and I expected that it would see some sort of recovery, and of course it has. But what do you think is causing this new trend? Because we're seeing this isn't the first time. We've seen it a couple of times now over the last 1 to 2 weeks. We're seeing collections go into aggressive bricking before then grinding up recovery. Right? Do you have any thoughts on why that is? And what are your?
I think we're in a different market with more people, and I think you've probably got a lot of people with a lot more time that are monitoring a lot more Discords and getting in early, but they might not be as liquid. They might not have as much capital. And so they're a lot more cautious about what happens in those first few moments. And when they see that correction, they chase the knife because they don't want to lose a little liquid they've got, because they have, 10 other Discords they're monitoring that night and they need to keep rolling into things. That's kind of what I think with the initial dump. It's people that can't afford to be in these projects. And if they don't immediately get profit, they have to save their bags because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just, pull the trigger, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I remember when I was like that, when you're just dabbling, right? When you're just dabbling, it's a little like that, right? Because you're not fully pot committed, right, to NFTs, and you don't have like 80% of your net worth in it. So you're like, do I really want to lose all this money on this JPEG, right? So I suppose you're right, Mick. There is probably a little bit of that. By the way, Borrowed Time here just in the Dropcast chat asking if we've talked about Monkey Heist Club, and we did. Essentially, it was effectively one of the strongest performers of the day, but only getting a loose monitor recommendation. So yeah, I reckon you're right. I reckon you're right, Mick. We are probably just seeing more people entering the market, and as a result, we're seeing a little bit of this increased. I'm not sure what the best term to use for it is. But perhaps a little bit of initially increased fear, right? Before then, the whales and sharks amongst us can come in and, using the good old genie tools, sweep the floor, right? At an opportune moment. I think you're right. And what do you think then, Mick? Actually, just sort of segueing here into the increased sentiment across, I think, what we were talking about in the pre's, Mick. With the influencers and sort of how gamification seems to be the way forward. Like, what do you reckon of that? Do you think it's a trend? Or do you think it's something that's here to stay? These other orcs and
look, it's definitely here to stay, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. And I think you can see it in the type of influencers that are starting to catch on. Influencers that are gamers, that know gaming. They've been talking about this for months. Right, even early on in the run, Cypher released ages ago, and even Alex Becker only caught onto that in the last few weeks and started tweeting about it like mad. But they were still much earlier than the new wave of influencers that are talking about gamification, game theory, and tokenomics, and how important that is in NFT collections. So Beanie's caught onto that. In the last few days as part of this particular drop. and all of the influences that come on with Wolves. They might have been involved before, but now they're feeling a lot more confident tweeting about it. But they're not tweeting about actual games yet.
Yes. It's not the games, it's the gamification of NFT drops.
Yeah,
right?
It's the game theory versus the playable, fun, involving game that we are used to. And if you say game to someone, they don't think of a coin flip. They don't think of game theory. They think of a computer game.
Yes.
These are not computer games. They're just, a fun way to pass the time and trade. I think I likened it earlier today. Wolf Game to me is more of a gated trading platform than a game. The game is, where do I sell one of my two things to make the most money? That's the game.
Sure. That's a fair statement.
And it's a fun game when you're making money.
Yeah, that it is. But I do agree with you that it doesn't fit the traditional narrative, or certainly the traditional consumer's mindset of a game. And so in that, I think that it's probably a little limited in its audience to, quite frankly, DeFi NFT degens, right? Yep. Basically, which is fine, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. I do think that games are yet to shine. There are games that have come about. There's Axie and other games that have done quite well. Animoca's got a bunch. Gala's got some that are live and functioning. But the big games that we're seeing coming, Guild of Guardians, big time, Miranda's, the more fully fledged, I wouldn't say AAA, but maybe B- games, they are going to start hitting next year. And, I think there is still going to be a place for NFT based game theory collections, because they are a different breed that get into them. It's like the DeFi coin versus the altcoin. There's always going to be that DeFi group who want to play the high risk, high reward gambling, right? And these collections are this high risk, high reward gambling. So there's space for all of them, and I think they're always going to be around. They'll always be the ones that do very well. But I think gaming in the NFT space, it's going to get so much bigger, and perform so much better. Whereas I think these DeFi collections, they already perform very well. So I think we're going to see more of these, and every so often we are going to get another one that performs this well. But I don't think we're going to be seeing them really being much more than they are. I see what you're saying, and that was sort of my next, my next question here, right? Whether or not you felt that these DeFi gamification concepts that we're seeing here with, things like initially I would say, the Ether Orcs, and then secondarily here with Wolf Game most recently, whether or not any of these concepts, I suppose you could call them, are translatable to a traditional gaming experience, or a traditional, in the traditional gaming world, whether or not you could introduce this to traditional gamers. And I'm just not sure. I don't know, right? I reckon you could, maybe.
You could, absolutely, but you would need something fun on top of it.
Yeah.
Because you would need fun gameplay.
Yeah, as opposed to just making money.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah. I reckon I completely agree with you, Mick. I think you're absolutely right with Big Time, with Miranda's, and some of the other titles that are going to be coming out sort of in the next year. And Guild of Guardians, right? Like, good grief, like that's going to be massive, I think.
Yeah, it will
when it comes around. I do think that blockchain gaming is probably going to take the floor. But right now, anyway, in our little space, and at this point in time, I have to say, Mick, it does feel as though next 3 days, right? I mean, we've already seen 4 copycat clones, of Wolf Game. So I reckon right now it's probably Wolf Game season. What do you reckon? Well, what do we got now? Vampire Game, Whale Game, and there was one more, right? What was it called? My goodness, I've forgotten now.
I think we just need to skip to Rug Game and let everyone buy, and there's a 10% chance you just don't get anything.
I don't know. I actually think if that was offset by some other sort of mechanic, I do think people would buy in, right? If it was properly
Sneaky just
gamified.
confirmed.
Yeah, I reckon. As long as it was properly gamified, if there was a 10% chance of rugging someone else, 10% chance to be rugged. Yeah. That's what I think. Sneaky's just saying in the chat, it lets you choose who to rug. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Like musical rug chairs. Musical rug chairs. I like it. That'd be pretty interesting, huh? What do you reckon, Mick? I think it's only a matter of time. GTA NFTs.
Yeah, I think I've said it's a recurring thing, but I'll say it again. The worse you treat people, the more they like it in this space. And I'm going to keep saying it because it gets proven every day. The worse the mechanics are to people, the more risk there is, the more punishment they get put through, the more their influencers abuse them. I don't know what the psychology is or why it's so prevalent here, but it is 100% accurate. They love it.
We're gluttons for punishment.
Beat me.
Rug me harder.
Speak to me. Whip me.
Oh man. Mick. All right. That is pretty. Yeah. You know what? I think you're right. It is gamification. It is rug, but don't rug me season. The market is feeling good. Look, hopefully the market continues going sideways, right, Mick? And you reckon if it does, we keep going as we are. Hopefully Coinbase NFT comes soon too. I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome of how the market reacts when when Coinbase NFTs comes in. Right? I reckon we'll see. I reckon we should at least see some inflow of volume. I think just how much.
My bet is soon after Coinbase goes live, everyone is going to be hyper aware of volume.
Yeah.
So when a collection, it's going to be very easy for influencers and whales to pump any collection they want. You only have to just move the dial a little bit on a collection, and I reckon the ape will be very strong and very fast.
You're talking about from the existing NFT population?
Exactly, from the existing pool of buyers, because everyone's going to be sitting around expecting volume, expecting people and watching. So it'll be ripe for collections to pump on a dime.
I see what you're saying, but that is assuming then, Mick, that Coinbase NFT doesn't bring in an influx of volume on its own organically, right? So you're talking about
make it worse, or not worse, but better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. This is true. Well, we'll see, Mick. I mean, first these collections have to get into the Coinbase NFT platform. It seems, right? It seems there's some sort of invitational system, so you can't just pump anything, right? It's gonna need to be, sanctioned and signed off by the Coinbase team, which is good. And, I think that's not, I think that's not a bad thing all around. Anyway, we'll see. It's interesting times. It is interesting times in the market. So that was our little extended attempt at a market recap for today. We're not going to be doing this all the time. We'll probably do this about once a week, and on most other days we'll be sticking with the regular Dropcast format that y'all know as per normal. But today we were just trying this out and going a little longer. Additionally, today's episode, I think, won't be uploaded on our regular YouTube account either, I believe. We might be uploading this on the Metaverse HQ YouTube account. Is that right, Mick?
Yeah, I do believe so. We'll have some hosted content for MVHQ once a week to have on their platform, and hopefully it's well received. Very cool. Very exciting. All right. Well, in that case, I think this is a good time as any. Oh, did we want to talk about? Oh, never mind. You know what? We're not going to talk about it. Okay. Long story short is allegedly Artchick's been
been canceled and has released a tweet that she's leaving, right? But I reckon she'll be back in a month. That's my personal opinion. What do you reckon, Mick? You reckon she'll be back? You reckon she'll be back in a month?
I reckon just long enough for her to flip her punk into another one so she can come up with a new name.
You reckon Punk 2476 isn't gonna cut it? Isn't gonna cut it?
I think Punk 2341 next.
All right,
incoming.
We'll see how all of that plays out. But yeah, if anyone isn't caught up on the Twitter drama with TMS Artchick and those infamous FUD tokens that have been floating around on Twitter, go on and poke your nose out there and have a sticky beak if you want. But we'll not dwell on it here. I think that is essentially that. So look, again, from us to all of you, for everyone listening out there, I hope you all had a really good time. It's always really enjoyable doing this. I hope you enjoyed today's extended market recap. And as always, take care of yourselves. If you're listening from the other side of the world, have yourselves a really good morning or a very good day. And we'll see you soon next time on the Dropcast.
Good night, everyone.